If we're being honest with ourselves, we know that Chris Paul and Devin Booker aren't quite equal in the eyes of Suns fans. Anyone with a brain recognizes that Chris Paul is a legend, but there's a certain emotional connection that Suns fans have to Devin Booker. And after 5 years of being in the gutter of the West, there's nothing that Suns fans want to see more than for Booker to finally get his flowers. Many members of the national media are taking note of that now that it comes time for the coaches to select the All-Star reserves. As of today, the Suns sit tied for 4th in an absolutely loaded Western Conference. And it's natural for Booker, who leads the team with 24 points per game, to be the main beneficiary of that success when it comes to All-Star recognition. But Suns fans shouldn't be content with just one representative, and that's because Chris Paul, in just a few short months, has already given the fanbase dozens of reasons to fall in love with his game. In fact, you can make a very strong argument that if the Suns only get one rep at this year's All-Star game in Atlanta, it should be Paul. You may remember that at the time of the acquisition, Suns fans were, on the fence about Chris Paul, but winning games, especially at a rate that Suns fans haven't seen in a decade, has a way of changing narratives. You certainly won't find many fans talking about his $40 million contract anymore, although if you reach back into the dark depths of the internet, you can find plenty of old receipts. The Suns as a team are undeniably good now, but I get it. All-Star is an individual award, so let's talk about the individual numbers. Chris Paul in year 16 hasn't lost a step, with a per-game stat line of close to 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game on 49% shooting from the field, 38% from deep, and 97% from the free throw line. The last time a 35-year-old point guard posted numbers anywhere close to that in Phoenix, the team results were pretty good. Advanced stats also love CP3 far more than Devin Booker even. Paul leads the Suns in value over replacement player and win shares, and his true shooting percentage of 59% exceeds that of fellow All-Star candidates like Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, Ja Morant, and De'Aaron Fox. But above all, CP3's greatest asset has been his consistency and his ability to seize the right moments. Remember, the current hot streak that the Suns are on began while Devin Booker was missing games with a hamstring strain. Paul averaged 24 and 9 in the 4 games that Booker missed back in late January, allowing the Suns to tread water against formidable opponents like Denver, Golden State, and Dallas. He terrorized the Mavs in back-to-back games in particular, giving Porzingis here a stark reminder of what happens to your ankles when you come at the point guard. More recently, with Booker back, we're getting a greater taste of Paul's brilliance as a facilitator, and last night was the perfect example, as the Suns dragged themselves out of a hole and outscored New Orleans by 29 points in the fourth quarter to win a game. For the first 6 minutes of the quarter, Booker remained on the bench due to foul trouble, and even once he came back, it was still CP3 in control of the offense. What consistently stands out about Paul as a floor general is that he doesn't play favorites. Instead, he leverages the defense's premonitions against them, and by the time they react to one thing, Paul is already looking at his second or third option. He starts off this quarter last night by establishing the roll man game with DeAndre Ayton, rewarding his big in a way that keeps Ayton happy and engaged on both ends. But on subsequent plays with the threat of the roll established, Paul has more freedom to run the same high screen pick and roll and then kick out to shooters even when it shouldn't be possible for such a small guy to make such lofty reads. Then he gets the cutters involved, finding more and more ways to keep the offense fresh and versatile. And finally, after stringing together 5 or 6 straight assists without a turnover, Paul finally looks for his own shot and sticks the dagger in the defense, hitting some insane step back that nobody had any chance of defending. Last night was just one example, but it's not an exception to the rule. The numbers back up that Paul is a guy you can always trust in the clutch, something that bodes very well for Phoenix as they prepare for playoff basketball. CP3 ranks 6th in the entire league in clutch field goals made. This is defined by the NBA as games within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. While Paul hasn't had an absurd game-winning highlight like Book yet, he provides a steady pacemaker throughout the entire fourth quarter, mercilessly picking apart defenses from that favorite mid-range elbow of his. So as we wind down here, this video is in no way a knock against any of the other very talented fringe all-star guards in the Western Conference. There are going to be multiple players of an incredible caliber who get left in the dust no matter what. But let's be very clear. For several years, Suns fans have been told that if they want respect and accolades, they need to earn it through winning basketball. While we know better than anyone that team success is often independent of individual talent, it is also high time for the logic to be applied consistently here. Paul is the biggest reason that the Suns are finally playing winning basketball, and for him to be left out in favor of a young guard on a sub-500 team would honestly just be disrespectful. In the NBA, we sometimes see the phenomenon of future Hall of Famers being given an All-Star bid as a sort of legacy nod, with the understanding that that player is being rewarded more for their overall contributions to the sport than for their contributions in that particular year. Make no mistake, this is not one of those situations. Year 16, CP3 does not need your sympathy votes, nor would he accept them if he could. He deserves an all-star spot purely because he has legitimately been one of the top half dozen or so guards in the Western Conference. It's an absurd run of longevity, and we don't know exactly how much longer it's going to last. But in the meantime, we should enjoy the ride, and furthermore, we should be rewarding his contributions to winning. That's all for me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more Suns content throughout the season. Of course, also drop a comment below on your thoughts on the current All-Star game situation. Should CP3 be an All-Star? Should Devin Booker be an All-Star? Should both be represented at the game? Let us know what you think. You can also check out our weekly Suns podcast. It is available on any and all podcast apps, and I'll make sure to drop a link to it in the description below. Thank you guys, and until next time.